What's up, everybody? Welcome to Mindset Monday, Daily Dose of Growth. I'm super excited to be here today. It's been a while since I've been in front of you. So I'm super excited to be able to take this time to spend with you. Today, we're going to talk about the power of questions. I've had people talk about and crack jokes about the questions that I asked and 48 questions, but we often underestimate how the questions that we ask ourselves can shape our reality and how they can influence our emotions and determine our overall quality of life. So today we're going to explore how we can harness the power of questions to transform our limiting beliefs and create a more fulfilling and empowered life. I want to start with a critical understanding. The pain, frustration, and suffering that we experience are often internally created. It, it's so easy to blame external circumstances or other people on our discomfort. But true freedom, true freedom comes from realizing that we have the control over our internal world. The way we interpret and respond to any event is what ultimately shapes our life and our experience. Think about a time, right? Think about a time when you felt upset or stressed. Was that event in itself, was that the cause of your distress? Or was it your interpretation of the meaning that you assigned to that event? Right? The reality is we can't control what happens to us. We can't control what happens to us, but we can control how we respond to what happens to us. Right? And this is where the power of creating an internal safety comes into play. Creating internal safety means cultivating a mindset where you feel secure and at peace, regardless of the external circumstances. It's about building a strong foundation within yourself so that you can navigate life's ups and downs with more grace and more resilience. One of the most effective ways to create this internal safety is through the power of questions. So, in today's session, we're going to talk about how we can use questions to expand our awareness and ultimately to shape our lives and really to take control of our internal world and create a change that isn't short lived, but a change that's long lasting. And we can live a more empowered and a more joyful life. So we're going to cover a few things today, right? We're going to talk about taking responsibility for our own suffering. Now, this might sound daunting, but it is incredibly empowering. By acknowledging that we have the power to change our internal dialogue, we take the first step toward true freedom and peace. After that, we'll talk about three functions of the brain: distortion, deletion, and generalization. Right? Understanding these functions can help us to see how our mind can sometimes trick us into believing things that aren't entirely true. Right? We'll discuss how to identify when these mental processes are in play and how to counteract them. Right? And then after that, we'll talk about Byron Katie's The Work and Byron Katie's method of inquiry. This involves asking four fundamental questions and then turning the thought around. These questions, they help us to break down our own limiting beliefs and see them from a new perspective. And then finally, we'll go over some additional questions that we can use for self-inquiry. Now, these questions are designed to help us to deepen our understanding of ourselves in our experiences, and to help us to be more aware and bring more intentionality to our daily life. Right. So the purpose of the session is ultimately is to equip us with the tools and mindset to transform our limiting beliefs through the power of questions. And by learning to ask questions, you can create a lasting change in your life and move closer to your true potential and the life that you desire. So let's dive in. Our first key point is taking responsibility for our own suffering. This might sound heavy, but it truly is incredibly empowering. Right? One of the most beautiful gifts that we can give ourselves is the commitment to take responsibility for our own suffering. Inquiry or questions, it's such a powerful tool. Questions help us to move through that bound, stuck energy of an internal nightmare. You know what I'm talking about. The times when you get stuck with limiting beliefs or a persistent story running in our minds. We've all been there, right? These thoughts can run constantly. And then when we attach to them, right, we believe them, they disconnect us from the present moment. They disconnect us from our loved ones and from the beauty that life truly offers. It's like we're not truly living, right? We're just replaying these tapes in our head over and over and over and over again. So the question is, how do we break free from this? It starts with taking responsibility for our internal experiences. That means acknowledging that our suffering is created from within. It's not about blaming others or feeling guilty. It's about recognizing that we have the power to change our thoughts. And we have the power, therefore, to change our feelings. Think about it. If you believe that the outside world is the source of your suffering, you're giving away all of your power. You're saying that you'll only be happy if everything outside of you changes. But we all know that that's impossible. At the forefront of our mind, we all know that everything outside of us will not change and be the way that we desire it to be. So why do we give our power away to everything outside of ourselves and to everybody outside of ourselves? We freely give our power to other people and allow them to dictate how we feel and when we feel how we feel, instead of taking responsibility for our own suffering and choosing to make different decisions, choosing to feel differently, choosing to look at something from a different perspective so that we can change the way that we feel. By taking responsibility, we start using we can start using the power of questions to free ourselves from these limiting beliefs. This is where inquiry comes in. When we start questioning our thoughts, we can see them from for what they really are, right? Just thoughts, not absolute truth. Let's be honest. It's human nature to want to blame the outside world. We all do it, right? We say things like, you triggered me, right? You made this not a safe space. You made me feel bad. But reality, real safety comes from within. It comes from knowing that no matter what happens outside of us, we have the tools to navigate our internal world. So here's where we start. Whenever you feel pain, frustration, or suffering, just pause. Pause for a minute. Take a deep breath. fill your stomach with air. I won't go deep into the science of it, but ultimately filling your stomach with air presses against your diaphragm. Pressing against the diaphragm activates the parasympathetic nervous system and it relaxes you. So take a deep breath and ask yourself, what am I believing right now? What am I believing right now? This simple question can open up a world of new perspectives. Remember, this is a practice. It's something that you'll get better at over time. It's not going to be an immediate change and your world changes tomorrow. No, but it's practice. And it's about having the willingness to look within and question the stories that we tell ourselves. It's about finding the deeper truth that lies beneath all of our limiting beliefs. So as we continue the session today, we'll explore specific questions and methods that you can use to challenge and change those limiting beliefs. But it all starts with taking the first step. And that first step is taking responsibility for our own suffering and understanding that we have the power to change it. The next key point is there's 3 functions to understand when it comes to the brain and processing information. And this is critical because once we understand how our brain works, we can start to take control and change our experiences. And our brain has 3 primary functions when it comes to processing information. It distorts, it deletes, and it generalizes. So let's break those down, right? Distortion. Our brains often distort reality based on our perspective and our beliefs, right? Imagine looking through a pair of colored lenses. To say the lenses are dark gray. Everything you see is going to be tinted with that color. And there are going to be things that are missed. Things that might be gray that you can't see because they blend in. Right? In the same way, our beliefs and our perspectives color our reality. And they change the way that we see the world. So for instance, if you believe you're not good enough, you might interpret someone's neutral comment as criticism. You're distorting the reality to fit your beliefs. Someone made a neutral comment and you saw it as criticism. This distortion can lead to misunderstandings and unnecessary suffering. It's because of how you've chosen to see the world. Second function of the brain is delete. Deletion. Our brains are constantly bombarded with information. And to manage this, our reticular activation system, the RES, it helps us to filter out unnecessary details and focus on what we consider to be important. So back to the distortion, we've chosen to see the world as I'm not good enough. And now we're only going to identify things and see things from a perspective of I'm not good enough. So when someone gives a neutral comment, your brain doesn't recognize it being neutral or constructive criticism. It sees it as bad because we've determined that we're not good enough. So that's how we're going to see the world. Now, the reticular activation system and it filtering out information, it can be a double-edged sword. While it helps us to stay focused, it also means that we might delete information that doesn't fit our current set of beliefs. For example, if you believe the world is a dangerous place, your brain's going to delete signs of safety. It's going to focus only on potential threats. It's going to see all of them. And you're not going to see the escape routes. You're not going to see the opportunities for growth. You're going to see everything as being against you. Third function of the brain when it comes to information is generalization, making broad statements about experiences. Our brains, they tend to make broad statements about experiences to simplify our understanding of the world. It can be helpful when it comes to learning skills and learning new things, but it can also create limiting beliefs. For example, if you fail at a business venture, you might generalize and believe that you're a failure at business endeavors, or you're a failure. This broad statement isn't true, but your brain uses it to simplify and protect you from potential disappointment, right? To keep you safe. Back to the reticular activation system, then every opportunity, nope, can't do it, nope, can't do it, nope, can't do it, because I'm not good enough. I'm a failure. In everything, every opportunity, you're going to create that because that's all you've trained your brain, your mind to see. So how do we find freedom from these functions? It's all about awareness and questioning. When we start to notice these patterns, we can begin to change them. First, notice when you're distorting reality. When you're in a stressful situation or a frustrating situation, ask yourself, is there another way to see this situation? What else could this mean? By challenging our initial perspective, we open ourselves up to new possibilities, open ourselves up to see the situation from a different perspective. Second, be aware of what you might be deleting. Ask yourself, what am I not seeing here? Or what evidence do I have that contradicts my belief? Right? What this does is this now helps you to bring back the information that your brain has filtered out. Because your brain took it all in, but it only made you aware of certain pieces of it. And so asking these questions helps to jog your memory to see what you might have filtered out that might actually be important to help you see the situation from a different perspective. And third question for your generalizations is whenever you catch yourself making broad statements, such as, I always fail, or people never listen to me, ask yourself, is this always true? Or can I think of an example where this isn't the case? What this does is this helps you to break down the limiting beliefs and it creates a more accurate picture of the situation, right? It helps you to really look at things from a broader perspective and not just in this emotional moment, but allows you to look at everything to say, is this 100% true 100% of the time? Understanding these functions, it gives us a powerful tool to start taking control of our thoughts and our beliefs. It's about being mindful of how we process information and making a conscious effort to question and challenge our automatic response to that first thought. So take a moment. Have you, or can you, think through and notice these patterns in your own thinking? I can. How often do you find yourself distorting, deleting, and generalizing? Becoming aware of this is the first step toward change. Remember, the path to freedom lies in stopping these automatic processes or doing them less. So by questioning and challenging our thoughts, we can transform our beliefs and ultimately transform our lives. The more you notice that first thought, you can then change the second thought. And the more you change the second thought, you then impact the first thought that you have. And you can start to see these things less. And this allows you to then become more aware of you and your thinking and your perspective of the world. Right? Now let's dive into one of the most transformative tools available, I believe. And it's the power of inquiry or questions. And in my research, as I'm continuing to work and evolve and studying with mentors, Byron Katie's the work was brought to my attention, and we're going to explore this method. And this method involves 4 questions and a turnaround. And this can help to dismantle our limiting beliefs and free us from our suffering, our internal suffering. So Byron Katie's method is it's simple, but it's really, really, really profound. And it consists of asking yourself 4 questions followed by a turnaround statement. Right? So let's break these down step by step. So question 1 and 2 are designed to break the pattern of your automatic thinking. Okay. So question number 1 is it true? When you have a limiting belief or a stressful thought, the first question to ask is it true? This question challenges the validity of the thought. For example, if you believe you're not good enough, right? If you believe I'm not good enough, ask yourself, is it true? This simple question starts to shake the foundation of that belief. You have to question that, right? Starts to open you up to the potential that maybe this isn't true. The second question, again, to stop the pattern, to break the pattern, second question is, and you absolutely know that it's true. So the second question digs a little bit deeper. This forces you to consider the possibility that your belief might not be as solid as you think. Continuing with our example, ask yourself, can I absolutely know that I'm not good enough? Often what you'll find is you can't be 100% certain, which begins to loosen the grip on that limiting belief. Because you'll be able to find at least one example of when you were. So you're not 100% certain that you're not good enough. The third question is designed to get leverage. It's to gain leverage. And Tony Robbins says this, and I think this is super powerful. He says, change isn't a matter of willpower, but change is driven by motivation. Not about can you, but will you? Are you willing to do it? Are you motivated enough to take the action that's necessary? Are you motivated enough? Do you have the leverage to move you to take action? I was listening to a speech, and the guy was talking to real estate agents, and he asked the question of he asked the real estate agents, how many of you are going to make $1 million this year? And of the group of about 100, 1 or 2 raised their hand. And he said, okay, cool. I have a gun to your head. And if you don't make $1 million, you'll die. I'll kill you. How many of you will make $1 million this year? The whole room raised their hand. What changed in the situation? The motivation changed. My life is on the line. I have to make this happen. So now you have the leverage of motivation to force you to take the action necessary to do what's required to achieve what you said you desired to achieve. So this third question is designed to gain leverage. Third question is, how do you react when you believe that thought? Ask yourself, how do you react when you believe that thought? What you're doing is you consider the impact of your belief on your emotions, your behavior, and your life. So for instance, If you believe I'm not good enough, notice how that affects you. Do you feel anxious? Do you feel sad? Do you feel discouraged? Do you feel tired? Do you avoid opportunities because of this belief? Right? This question helps us to see the cost of holding on to the limiting belief. And as you identify the cost of this belief, it then starts to create a motivation to change because the cost is that much. How you feel, you're choosing to feel this way because of this. So you're able to start to build motivation to take action, start to gain leverage in the situation. Because now you have a motivating factor. The fourth question is designed to completely annihilate the limiting belief. The fourth question helps you to imagine your life without the limiting belief, with effectively annihilating or removing completely its power over you. The fourth question is, what would you be without that thought or without that belief? What would you be? Visualize how your life would change if you no longer believed that you weren't good enough. How would you feel? How would you start to act? What possibilities would open up for you? Would you now become aware of? This question that helps us to realize the freedom and the potential that come from letting go of those limiting beliefs. It helps us to start resonating with the person, the future person that we desire to become. What does it feel like to live in that space? What does it sound like to be the person that I said I desire to become? What actions is that person taking? How does that person feel when they wake up as they're moving through their day? What type of friendships are they building? Are they cultivating? You start to resonate with your future self without that limiting belief. So now, after going through those four questions, and the final step is the turnaround. The turnaround is about finding the opposite of your original belief and discovering the truth in it. So, for example, the original thought was, I'm not good enough. The turnaround might be, I am good enough, or I'm more than enough. And then to solidify that new belief, you then identify 3 pieces of evidence or experiences in your life that support that turnaround. Maybe you recall when you were successful at something, when you succeeded, or someone thanked you or appreciated you for the things that you did, or you were able to make a positive impact in an environment or in a community, right? Now, what we'll try to do is we'll try to qualify these experiences. Oh, this isn't a good enough experience. No, that's not what was stated. Simply find 3 pieces of evidence that support your turnaround statement. It doesn't matter how big or small they are. The size doesn't matter. Did you do it or did you not is the question. So find 3 pieces of evidence that support the turnaround statement. By walking through these questions and the turnaround statement, you're creating a structured approach, and you're dismantling that limiting belief, and you're building a new belief, an empowering belief. And the thing that I like about this method is you're not avoiding anything. A lot of times people would just run from the situation, run from the feeling, run from the experiences that are bad or that limit them. But you're never addressing them. You're never addressing where they come from. You're just hiding from them. And therefore, those things hide in you. And taking this approach, it allows you to go through the thought process of really addressing, is this true? Is this always true? And then it allows you to walk through the thoughts of creating the new reality that you desire to live. So you're not avoiding the experiences, you're not avoiding the feelings, you're acknowledging them, you're feeling them, and now you're addressing them head on and addressing the validity of them based on all of the experience that you've had. So you're not running from them, but you're addressing them, you're taking them head on. So now you're able to start to healing process from some of those negative experiences that you have had. And you start to look at those situations differently. So that's what I really like about this approach from Byron Katie. And it really helps us to shift from a place of automatic negative thinking to a space of conscious positive awareness. And it gives you the power to change your narrative. And when you have the power to change your narrative, you have the power to change your life. Take a moment, take a moment and think of a limiting belief that you have right now, right? It could be about your abilities, about your relationships, about any aspect of your life. Write that down. And then ask yourself these 4 questions. Take your time with each one and really feel the impact of your answers. And again, remember, this isn't a quick fix, but it's a tool that we can use to start to, that we can use whenever we feel stuck or we feel limited by our thoughts. The more you practice, the more natural it'll become, and the more freedom you'll start to experience. So, in this journey of self inquiry, we've explored Byron Katie's powerful method and of the work, and we've talked about ownership of our own suffering. And so now I want to give some additional questions that can help us to deepen our understanding and transform our experiences and to connect us more deeply with ourselves and with others. And these questions are designed to help us to pause and reflect and then shift the perspective. So the first question is, what am I missing right now? When you feel stuck or overwhelmed or disconnected, simply ask yourself, what am I missing right now? This question, it encourages you to take a step back and to consider what might be outside your current field of awareness. It could be another person's perspective, an overlooked piece of detail, or a different way of interpreting a situation. But by asking this question, you open yourself up to new insights, new possibilities, new perspectives. Next question is, how can I bless my body right now? Our bodies are the vessels through which we experience this life. And they may need care and attention. You might be tired, you might be exhausted. So ask yourself, how can I bless my body right now? This question, it really invites you to tune into your physical needs. A lot of times, and even having a conversation with my wife, we don't pay attention to what our bodies are telling us. We don't even know how our bodies speak to us. So tuning into our physical needs, you're able to find ways to nurture yourself. And it could be as simple as drinking a glass of water, taking a walk, stretching, taking a nap, resting. By blessing our bodies, we enhance our own well-being, and we create a stronger foundation for our minds and our spirits to then be able to build and operate from. The next question is, how can I convey my heart in this moment? Communicating from the heart can transform relationships and interactions. Truly ask yourself, how can I convey my heart in this moment? Whether it's through words, gestures, actions, right? Or expressing your genuine feelings, it can deepen the connection and foster an environment of understanding. This question, it helps you to move from a place of defensiveness or fear to one of openness and love. A lot of times, sat on a panel this weekend, and I talked about this a little bit. A lot of times in situations, we approach them from a space of fear or defensiveness, and we're not approaching it from a perspective of understanding. And because of that, there's brokenness in our communication. And so if we're able to ask ourselves this question of how can I communicate from my heart, we're able to look at it from truly from a perspective of understanding and love. And that creates the environment for more care, right? For more caring conversation, for more caring gestures. If you're approaching it from a perspective of understanding and love, right? Not from a defensive or fear nature. The next question is, am I expressing love or fear? At any given moment, our actions and our words are motivated by either love or fear. So asking yourself, am I expressing from love or fear? You're recognizing the driving force behind your behavior. And that can help to shift from a fear-based reaction to a love-based response. Love fosters connection, it fosters compassion, and it fosters understanding. Fear, on the other hand, leads to defensiveness, aggression, and withdrawal. So it allows us to open up, to become more aware when we're expressing from love. We're aware of other people's feelings, whether they communicate it or not. We're aware of the energy in the situation, the energy around us. We can feel and sense those things when we're operating from a space of love. When we're operating from a space of fear, we're withdrawn, we're disconnected. We're forcing to create that space. So therefore, we're not able to connect with the other person's feelings and emotions that may not be communicated. Next question is, what is the good, the gift, and the blessing in this? Even in challenging situations, there's often hidden blessings and opportunities for growth. So when you ask yourself, what is the good, the gift, and the blessing, right? This question helps us to find the silver lining. And finding that silver lining then helps us to shift our focus from what's wrong to what's possible. Shifting that focus, it truly encourages gratitude and a positive outlook, which then can transform your experience, shifting the perspective, transforming the outlook, finding the good, the gift, and the blessing. Even in challenging times, challenging situations, all things work together for the good. So if all things work together for the good, even in those bad situations, there's an opportunity to learn. There's an opportunity to grow. There's an opportunity to help. There's an opportunity to give. So there's a blessing in that. There's gratitude in that. And so asking yourself, what's the good, the gift, and the blessing in the situation, you're able to expand that awareness even more. The next question is, am I defending anything in this moment? Defensiveness can create barriers between us and others, but also barriers within ourselves. So ask yourself, am I defending anything in this moment? By identifying your defensive reaction, you can then begin to let go of the need to protect yourself and instead approach the situation with curiosity and openness and understanding. Understanding where someone else could be coming from, being open to hear their perspective, to then take that into account. This question helps you to move from a stance of resistance to one of openness, acceptance, and growth. Accepting the situation and people for who they are and where they are in that moment with no judgment. Accepting situations for what they are because you don't have control of them. All you have control of is your response. This is where I currently am. Now, what can I do to change? What can I do to grow? See? And the next question is, what quality of spirit can I invite into this moment? Every moment offers an opportunity for different qualities of spirit. So asking yourself, what quality of spirit can I invite in the moment? It can be a spirit of kindness, spirit of patience, spirit of playfulness, curiosity, or any other quality that resonates with you. It allows you to bring that into the environment to impact that environment in a positive way. Being consciously aware and inviting that specific quality, you can transform your experience and influence the energy of those around you by choosing to say, I'm going to bring kindness into this moment. I'm going to bring grace into this moment. I'm going to bring patience into this moment. I'm going to bring playfulness and joy into this moment. Change the whole environment by choosing that. So by asking that question, what quality of spirit can I bring into this moment? Now you open yourself up to really feeling what's needed. Change your perspective. Now, these questions, it's not an exhaustive list, but these questions I think are good questions to start with, be it in just your everyday thoughts or even in your journaling. As you're journaling your experiences, right? Asking yourself these questions. These questions of self-inquiry, they're tools. They're tools, and you can use them at any time to deepen your understanding and to truly transform experiences and relationships. Right? They help you to pause and reflect and then connect with your inner wisdom, your inner self, your inner connection with God, with nature, with the universe, however you define that. So take a moment with these questions and think of situations where that you're currently facing, and choose to go through the questions one by one and explore them. Write down your answers and notice any shifts in your perspective. Remember, the quality of inquiry lies in your willingness to look within and question your thoughts and your beliefs. The more you practice, the more natural it'll become. The more natural it becomes, the more freedom and more clarity you experience. Questions are powerful, and it truly gives you the ability to change your perspective and change your life. But just think, how can you implement these questions in different moments and different experiences in your life? It all starts with taking responsibility of our internal experience, taking responsibility of our own suffering, taking responsibility of our lives, the decisions that we make, the emotions that we feel, and the responses that we give. Taking back your power that you freely given to others. It's time to take that power back today. It's time to take back your power of your joy. It's time to take back your power of your experience. Today you choose to do that. And you can do that through asking questions. And this allows you to then look at every experience in your past to ask questions to better understand, so that you can start the healing process, so that you can truly transform and evolve into the person that you desire to become. Today's the day you take back that power. Today's the day you start questioning your beliefs to change them, to evolve them. to evolve you into the person that you desire to be. That's Mindset Monday, good people. Have a phenomenal day. Find your 1% today and use today. Allow today to be a building block in your foundation of your life. Peace.